Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Final video of the day today. And I would also say that it's been quite interesting. Now, the media is portraying to somewhat lie about Ron DeSantis and about, the particular of USA, the illegal migrants coming in and stuff like that to their specific, I would say, their issues. However, it seems that's not really the case because we have active evidence of Ron DeSantis not doing that, and he gave them consent forms. However, here's a clip of the media actively saying that Ron DeSantis is did it without consent and stuff like that, and promised all these things, but it doesn't seem to really be the case here. Take a look.
Announced flights are now the focus of a criminal investigation.
Another twist in the rising tensions over immigration throughout the country. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis may now be in hot water after a Texas sheriff opened an investigation into that plane of migrants sent to Martha's Vineyard last week, which DeSantis took credit for. Javier Salazar, a sheriff from Bexar County, Texas, says he believes a Venezuelan migrant was hired to recruit a group of other migrants who were flown from Texas to Florida and then to the wealthy enclave of Martha's Vineyard.
Our understanding is that a Venezuelan migrant was paid what we would call a bird dog fee to recruit approximately 50 migrants from the area around a migrant resource center.
The sheriff saying the migrants were brought there dishonestly.
I will use the word lured under false pretenses into staying at a hotel for a couple of days and then eventually flown to Martha's Vineyard. They were promised work. They were promised the solution to several of their problems.
DeSantis, who took credit for arranging the flights, hitting back overnight.
Clearly voluntary, and all the other nonsense you're hearing is just not true. And why wouldn't they want to go given where they were? They were in really, really bad shape. I think what we've been able to do is show that this border is a disaster.
The attorneys for many of the migrants allege there were false promises made regarding work opportunities, schooling, and immigration assistance, and that many were told they were flying to Boston. It's part of a larger battle brewing over immigration ahead of the midterm elections and 2024 presidential race, where DeSantis may be a contender. His migrant transport following in the footsteps of Texas's governor, who has bused thousands of migrants to cities like Chicago, Washington, D.C., and New York in recent months.
So yes, there you have it. Well, there's going to be more after this, obviously, but there you have that part of the thing. Now, here's the thing. It's not really luring if he has the consent forms of telling them they're all going to be this. And obviously, if he's taken you to the sanctuary city to where your sanctuaries actively say that you will support and allow illegal migrants to come into your city or state, and then you say you're going to go back on that, that's not really Ron DeSantis' fault, because you guys have actively said that you will support these people, give them homes, give them education and stuff. And now that you're saying that that's not going to happen, then you're making it bad on you guys and only you guys. This is what doesn't make sense here. Listen, there is a massive influx of people in these border states, and they're trying their best way to deal with them. And the Biden administration will refuse to really stop this from happening. So what they're doing is that I think it's a very good, powerful move by Ron DeSantis. Now, we could all say that his actions are wrong or good or whatever, what have you. However, I think this strong and powerful approach needs to be honestly to be used, because of the fact that we have to have strong tactics and maybe a little bit fucked up tactics to really show that, okay, this is what's happening. Because let's be honest here, this is by far the least type of fucked up or even political move that a person could have done, really. Because honestly, the more fucked up thing is having the Ron DeSantis, or having Joe Biden have an open border and have these kids get assaulted, beaten, killed by the thousands because because he has an open border, because they have to cross all these places to get here, right? That's the problem that we have. So what Ron DeSantis is doing is a far cry compared to what Biden has actually done. Biden literally has, besides an 18-year-old kid that's death on his hands, he has other death on his hands besides the soldiers as well. He has migrant deaths on his hands that he has to deal with. He has to try his best, and he's not trying his best to deal with these migrants. It's just not happening. So, due to this, is that Ron DeSantis is sending them to states or cities that have these sanctuary places in place, and sending them there where they'll actually get help, because Florida won't help them, obviously. So he's sending them over there for them to actually get help, because that's what the sanctuary cities are for, sanctuary states are for. That is why they are there. And if the far left or the far left or slash Democrats are going to come out and say this is a huge problem, we can't sustain these amount of people, and they're going to kick them out or whatever, which they have done, by the way. They had called the Border Patrol and what have you at the Martha's Vineyard, and have actively escorted these migrants out of there. Let's see, I can't even find it for you. Martha Vineyard. Let me see here. Here we go. Not exactly this, but illegal migrants get the boot after 1 day on Martha's Vineyard. Migrants flown into Martha's Vineyard by Florida government or boarding buses. They'll be heading to the Joint Cape Cod. According to officials, 105 mass National Guard members are being activated to assist. So they call the National Guard to remove these people. Like I said, this is not like a joke or anything. I'm not joking about this stuff. They within 24 hours they did this. So we're gonna say that like the so-called far left Democrats are agreeing with these people or want these people here. No, they don't. They don't want these people here. They don't care about these people. Let's take another look at a video that showing that what they're spouting lies about DeSantis. Again.
Migrants taken to Martha's Vineyard now suing Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and other state officials, alleging they were misled into boarding flights through false promises. NBC's Emily Aketa has been on that story from the start. She's now in D.C. with new details. Hey, Emily, good morning.
Good morning to you, Hoda. Governor DeSantis is facing that new lawsuit and a separate criminal investigation by a Texas sheriff as speculation mounts about whether he will try to fly more migrants out of the South, which is experiencing a record influx in border crossings, nearly 8,000 migrants arriving daily.
Nobody can deny that there's a crisis.
This morning, Florida's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis facing backlash for his decision to fly 48 Venezuelan migrants to Martha's Vineyard last week. Attorneys representing some of those migrants filing a lawsuit late Tuesday against DeSantis and other Florida officials, accusing them of a premeditated, fraudulent, and illegal scheme to transport them to the island. The suit, which is seeking class action status in Massachusetts, says the migrants were lured with incentives like McDonald's gift certificates and free hotel stays, and were promised jobs, housing, and educational opportunities if they boarded planes to other states. DeSantis maintains the flights were voluntary and that migrants signed a consent form shared overnight by his office, who responded to the lawsuit writing, "Florida's program gave them a fresh start in a sanctuary state, and these individuals opted to take advantage of chartered flights to Massachusetts."
If 50 was a burden on one of the richest places in our country, what about all these other communities that have been overrun with hundreds or thousands?
The lawsuit comes 2 days after a Texas sheriff announced a criminal investigation into the flights, which originated in his state. Sheriff Javier Salazar, a Democrat, says the migrants were lured with false promises of work and assistance. Massachusetts Republican Governor Charlie Baker says he supports the sheriff's investigation, but is also urging the Biden administration and Congress to enact sweeping immigration and border security reform.
I'd like to see the feds create an immigration policy that people can understand and people can enforce and people can abide by. We don't have that.
Homeland Security reports illegal border crossings have hit a record high, totaling more than 2 million in the last 11 months.
And on Tuesday, there were unconfirmed rumors a plane carrying migrants was heading to President Biden's home state of Delaware. The White House said it was coordinating with state officials to prepare. Volunteer groups stood by to help. Reporters and camera crews staked out airports, but the plane and the migrants never arrived, landing at New Jersey's Teterboro Airport, appearing not to have any passengers on board.
Yes, so they're trying to sue Ron DeSantis, obviously, for doing this, even though he has legal consent. And we're going to be going over that right now, because he did have a legal consent form for them specifically to have. So nothing he's doing is illegal, and it's not dangerous at all, because he actively put them into a place to where they're actually going to get supported, right? And he did it legally by doing it so. DeSantis' office hits back after class action lawsuit from migrants reveals consent form they allegedly signed. The office of Florida Ron DeSantis on Tuesday slammed a class action lawsuit filed by illegal immigrants flowing to Martha's Vineyard last week, saying the journey was done on a voluntary basis. Now notice how when he's sending them to states, obviously, when he's sending them to the actual other states and whatnot, there's no problem or lawsuit. But when he sends it to a rich people, multi-million elite haven, now he gets slapped with a lawsuit. Because now that's a problem. That affects the millionaires, the elites. No, we don't want these people here. We support it, but we don't want them here. Yeah, very hypocritical. The elites don't want them there. Even though Martha's Vineyard is obviously a very strong Democratic household, and they have plenty of a way to house at least 50 immigrants. Come on now. The lawsuit filed in the District of Massachusetts alleges that DeSantis and others assigned executed a premeditated, fraudulent, and legal scheme centered on exploiting this vulnerability for the sole purpose of advancing their own personal and financial and political interests. In a statement provided to Fox News, Governor DeSantis spokeswoman Taryn Fentz, I think that's what I pronounce it, not entirely sure, slammed the class action lawsuit as political theater perpetrated by opportunistic activists at the expense of illegal immigrants. Yes, I would agree. However, it's also the same thing that Joe Biden has done as well. So don't think that Joe Biden hasn't done this either. Come on. If these activists spent even a fraction of this time and effort at the border, perhaps some accountability would be brought to the Biden administration's reckless border policies that entice illegal immigrants to make dangerous and often lethal journeys through Central America and put their lives in the hands of cartels and coyotes, Fiske said. Yeah, exactly as I said. It is a lot worse what Biden is doing than what DeSantis is doing by far. He's at least sending them to a place where they're going to be cared for, at the very least. That have actual the infrastructure and the places to keep these people, whereas Florida does not. Fiske provided Fox News with a copy of consent form available in English and Spanish that she said was given to migrants before they boarded, which you see here. Consent form in multiple languages provided to migrants, Taryn Fiske. The form reads, I agree to hold the benefactor or its assigned representatives harmless of all liability arising out of or in any way relating to any injuries and damages that may occur during the agreed transport to locations outside of Texas until the final decision in Massachusetts. The class action lawsuit alleges that the migrants were told they were going to Boston or Washington, which was completely false. And we were induced with perks such as $10 McDonald's gift cards. No human being should be used as a political pawn, said Ivan Pizzanos, Madrigal, executive director of Lawyers for Civil Rights, which is seeking class action status in the lawsuit on behalf of several migrants who were aboard last week's flights in Alliance of Americas, a network of advocacy groups. The lawsuit alleges that migrants were induced to cross state lines under false pretenses, a line that some Democratic officials are using to urge a federal investigation. Okay, again. You guys have been caught doing this. The Biden administration has been caught doing this, and now we also know that Lori Lightfoot has been caught doing this. So you're pot calling the kettle black here. Come on. We know you guys have done this too, and a lot worse fashion. by the way. So it's not just DeSantis. At least DeSantis put these people in a place to where they can actually be housed. You guys have not. And you have done the exact same thing, if not worse. Enough with this BS. This is what happens when you have these policies. And now you have to deal with them. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share, and as always, take care.